Should he go or should he stay now? We're talking about Juju Lewis.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I am your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every single day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, this show is always free, and this show will always appreciate your support. Today's episode, it's brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. If you've been following the Julian Lewis recruiting saga, it probably feels like a tease. Yeah. Combine that with the opening line, The Clash. They wrote the song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And I think the Juju Lewis recruitment is coming to a head. We're getting to that point. Been talking about it a little bit more and more over the last couple of weeks. Well, I guess I've been teasing this topic, and I actually took it to the extent on my last episode that we talked about this subject. I said that Coach Riley, he should be pushing the issue. He should be asking Juju, why aren't you shutting your recruitment down? You said you were. I said, it was last week. I said, Coach, I think when the dead period ends with recruiting, as long as Coach Riley has some free time, he should do a drive-by over there on Husan Longstreet. Head on over to Centennial High School. Say hello. Tell him you still remember and you really appreciate his effort that Husan made when he showed up to that 5 o'clock in the morning spring practice. And he did that just days before he knew he was going to be committing to Texas A&M. Well, guess what? Someone has been listening, because all of a sudden, there's an interesting story from Steve Wolong over there on the On3 network. Yeah, the other place where I'm hanging out when I'm not here at Locked On USC. Let me preface this by saying, stories like this that came out, they don't come out of nowhere. Someone wants this information made public. The question is who? So unless Auburn is working really low-key stealth behind the scenes trying to muddy up the waters, which, by the way, I don't think it's them. Reason being, Auburn, who's been pretty loose with their NIL, they just took Notre Dame's quarterback from the class of 2025. He's been committed to the Irish since like forever. And Notre Dame fans, they're livid that Hugh Freeze and Auburn just kind of slid in there and said, oh, we'll take him. So I don't think that's where this story is coming from. Now, I don't think it's coming from Indiana either. Who was considered a finalist for Juju. I think Indiana has bigger issues to worry about, like, some duck mascot humping their memorial rock that's memorializing a dead coach. Go check out my Twitter feed. You'll know exactly where I'm going with that. Anyways, so the question is, was it the USC camp or was it the Colorado camp that kind of said, hey, let's see where we're going with this? Or someone had to get Husan Longstreet's dad to give these quotes. I'm going to give you a couple of quotes here in a minute. Somebody wants Juju Lewis to either, the expression, he needs to pee or get off the pot. I would use the actual word, but work with me here. Now, just to remind everybody, Longstreet chose Texas A&M over Auburn, Ole Miss, and Oregon. To say that USC was slow playing his recruitment would probably be a huge understatement. Remember, they've had Juju Lewis in the fold since August 2023. There was no reason for Lincoln Riley to kind of sabotage his own class by saying, you know what? I got one 5-star. Let me recruit another 5-star quarterback, the local kid. So you've got, you got Husan committed to Texas A&M. You got Juju committed to USC. Meanwhile, during this whole thing that's been going on since spring and into the summer, USC's quarterback coach Luke Heward, he's been developing a summer relationship with Husan. And I have to admit, look, it's fair game. If Juju's going to keep playing the field and teasing everyone, USC's got to start protecting themselves. They got to watch their six, watch their butt. So things with USC and Longstreet, they've been heating up as the summer temperatures have been heating up. Quote, Husan likes the offense. Husan likes the leadership over at USC. That's his father talking. He also likes the fact that it's at home. His dad wasn't done. He's still committed to the Aggies. That's what it is. Aggies never did nothing wrong. It's just that he wasn't pressed by USC. Things can change at any time, but I don't think they will. He's happy where things are with Texas A&M right now. End quote. I'll tell you what. If I am Texas A&M's head coach, Mike Elko, my underwear just got dirty. Right? I mean, Husan's dad basically said, if Coach Riley asked Longstreet, do you want to come play at USC? He's going to stay home. Right? I mean, I can't make it any. If you want to read between the lines, that's what he's saying. It's the timing of the story is what's so intriguing to me. And look, this is why you tune into this show every day. Because if you are an everyday listener, viewer of Locked on USC, you're not shocked by this news. You're not going to be shocked when something happens because I've been keeping you updated. I've been kind of slow rolling this. There's a lot of stuff that I hear that I have to wait. I have to let it kind of play itself out. I'm not going to get too far ahead of the game. And that's why for these last few weeks, I've been, hey, what if? So I'm not saying that Juju is going to decommit tomorrow or even the next day, if at all. Okay. What I am saying is stuff like this does not get out unless it's wanted to get out. So why was Kevin Longstreet asked for these quotes? Kevin is Husan's father. Did the leak come from USC to kind of force Juju to, finally shut it down? Or is it, Colorado playing dirty? Are they trying to say, hey, Juju, see, look, Lincoln Riley doesn't really want you anymore. Why don't you come to Boulder? How's that for a conspiracy theory? I'll close this out this way. I'll get off that subject because I want to get one more recruiting note in before we switch gears into USC's fall camp day practice number 5. Juju is supposed to be the jewel of the class, right? The leader of USC's recruiting class, the 2025 recruiting cycle. You want your quarterback out there. You want him publicly, recruiting for you, chopping it up, creating some energy, the buzz. I just don't know if retweeting Carday Smith's commitment to USC, I don't know if that's getting the job done. I need something a little bit more than that. And, let's be real pragmatic about this. Juju's season is getting ready to start. He needs to focus on his own team right now, his senior season in high school. So the longer this lingers and the longer this lags and keeps playing itself out, the more questions are going to start to surface. Hey, Juju, what's going on? I can't talk to you right now. I got to focus on the team we're playing this Friday. But that's always going to be there. And if you're trying to disenfranchise yourself from the USC fan base, the Trojan family, it's a really good way to do it. Kind of dangling that carrot. Coach Riley needs to get an answer so everyone can move forward. Everyone involved. Juju Lewis, the Trojans, Husan Longstreet, Texas A&M, Colorado, Indiana, everybody who's involved in this process right now. This is why NIL and paying high school kids, it's a bad combination because it creates these types of scenarios. As I said, I got one more recruiting update. We want to get out of the way before we move on. Offensive tackle Aaron Dunn, you've heard me mention his name. He's committing. If you're watching the show today, Thursday, August 8th, he's committing today. He's going to be choosing between USC and Utah, I believe is the final two. And then one other thing, you've got 5-star wide receiver, Andrew Marsh, Katy, Texas, outside of Houston. He's choosing between USC, Michigan, Colorado, Washington, and Texas. The last I heard, Michigan was the leader, but that was before. You might be, I don't know if you're aware of this. The NCAA is dropping some sanctions on Michigan's program. They gave Jim Harbaugh a 4-year show clause. Why? Whatever. And I guess they got some recruiting sanctions going on as well. Nothing like what happened to USC. So we'll see what happens with Andrew Marsh. If it's not Michigan, I say he probably stays home and goes to Texas. I don't think he's coming to USC. I don't have that feeling. Like you're probably like me. You went to your favorite Major League Baseball park. I was a Dodger fan. That's where I was hanging out. And I loved going to Dodger Stadium because it was inexpensive. Always get a good price on a good ticket. Well, not anymore. So with killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect before you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front. That way you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. And when you're buying tickets with GameTime, you're checking out in 2 taps. You're done. Trojan fans, LSU fans, anybody who's planning to go to Vegas Labor Day weekend, there's a big game there. Do you have your tickets yet? GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. And the GameTime guarantee means you'll always find the best price. So if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED like David, ON like Nancy for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you again for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. For your second listen, go on and check out that show called Locked On College Football. Spencer McLaughlin, he's going to get you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussions on the upcoming season and the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, the new college football expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so USC rolled into their second week of fall camp. Let me get their walkout going for you. I'm gonna throw this in there. So while you're viewing, I'm gonna do some talking. So you get to see this. You get to see the players are coming by. That's Eddie Triplisky, punter, wearing the hoodie. So again, USC started their second week of fall camp, day 5, and team's still wearing shorts, shells, helmets. All right. I believe Thursday or Friday will be the day where they get to come out full pads. I believe that'll be the week acclimation period that they need. So here's a recap of the practice, full set of notes, observations, based on what I see, what I hear, and what I'm allowed to report. First thing, I was still first at practice today. Practice wasn't scheduled to start till 8:15. I got there much earlier than I anticipated. One, because, let's just say the day didn't start off well for me. I want to show you how dedicated I am. I spent over $100 in Uber rides to get to and from practice. We'll go there. That's all I'm going to say. Excuse me. Now, the media, we were there for the first practice Friday last week. We were there for second practice Saturday all day. But then Sunday and Monday, nobody allowed. And Tuesday, according to the schedule, there was no practice. So there I am at practice Wednesday morning, bright and early. And I still got a lot of time heading over to the men's library. And I saw Jonah Monheim, and Jonah had his hands full. 2 cups of coffee, big old styrofoam tray full of his protein, whatever he needs to get his pre-practice meal going. That was Jonah. And I think it was a little early for him because he had that grumpy cat face going on. Anyways, he said hello, but that's all I got out of him at that point. Benny Wiley, he's always going to be the first coach I see out of the door heading over to the practice field. And he was there today, came jogging out. Maybe you see him out. Maybe you already saw him. He gave a little love tap to the Trojan sword. And he was like, here we go, baby. Starting a new day. I don't know what their roles are going to be, but you might have saw Tyler Robles, Ryan Sayeri, and Dennis Lynch, the other kickers. And don't forget, USC also brought in Michael Lance, the transfer from Georgia Southern. Yeah, there's quite a few on special teams. Coach Riley actually addressed that. He was asked the question about, increasing the coaching staff because that rule's getting changed. I think he said he's bringing on a full-time special teams coach. Whether that's going to be Ryan Doherty and bringing in more analysts, I don't know, but coaching staff's going to be expanding. The referees were back in town wearing shorts, referee shirts. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. They look like a bunch of guys who would be officiating one of those high school 7-on-7 events. Nevertheless, they're out there. They're helping develop the team, making sure they're not holding, jumping off sides, false starts, no grabbing, not using the hands, with pass interference, that type of stuff. I don't know if you already saw Solomon Tuliapoo come through. Wild man hair. Yeah. You always hear the phrase, he's playing with his hair on fire. That's what it looks like. Solo's hair is man on fire. Cameron Fountain has his helmet on when he was coming out. He was growling. I don't know why, but he was making animalistic noises as he headed out to practice. Yeah, he was in the mood. Coach Henney, he was giving Jamil Muhammad some really good coaching advice when they made their way out to practice. He said, use any move you want when you beat your victim. I said, okay. All I heard was Jamil's victim. And I was like, I like it. Sam Green, defensive end, rush edge. I got to admit, and this isn't a knock on Sam. I'm just kind of stating the facts. You can tell he was a part of Alex Grinch's last recruiting class on defense. When I see him next to the rest of the guys in that room, the defensive line group, he is by far the smallest. I mean, he has good size above the waist, but he's got those running back legs. It just doesn't. He doesn't look like your typical defensive lineman that USC has been grooming lately. So when you see Carlon Jones and Ratumana Bulabalavu, just so much bigger. Braylon Shelby, DJ Peavey. I mean, the size difference is significant. I mean, it just pops out. It's kind of like Elijah Page when you see him walking by. Someone actually thought that was AI generated. Saying, is he 8 feet tall? No. He's just 6'7". He's big. He might be 6'8". Speaking of DJ Peavey, David, he was looking at his Denny's menu on his way to practice, making sure he has all of the plays down, so he's going to be mentally ready for practice. Last year, the young man, all 6'5", 6'6", 260 pounds of him, he used his freshman year to redshirt. He was rehabbing. He's ready now. Now he's getting the mental side of the game down. Wednesdays, we get to talk with Coach Riley, defensive coaches and players. That's defensive designation day. There was a lot to talk about the defensive line after practice. Kobe Pepe, Nate Clifton, Elijah Hughes, Sean Nua. Those guys spoke to the media. So did Antonlynn. Kobe Pepe was getting praise from everybody. And Riley said he's actually really gone. This is what he said. He's gone from a guy who he didn't think would make it in the program to someone who can really make an impact this season. Let me give you the full quote. I asked Coach after practice, what have you seen from Kobe? I didn't know if he was going to be one of the ones to survive or just float away. He's done a great job, man. He was easily the most out-of-shape player on the roster. Some of it was his doing. Some of it was due to these injuries before we got here, but he's just totally changed his body. Now he's put himself in a position to contribute. And certainly this system defensively fits a guy like him a lot more than what we were doing in the past. So I think he realizes that, and he sees that window of opportunity, and he's got some real size and mass in there. From the guys who were first here when we started, and then there's not that many left, they're starting to become fewer and fewer. He's one of the ones I'm most proud of from where he was a couple of years ago until now, close quote. Staying with the defensive line, and I apologize for that camera angle there. I don't know what happened. I think I forgot to hit stop. Anyways, and I didn't edit. Easton Mascarenas Arnold, he was asked after practice, which player or two have stood out since fall camp started. His answer, the entire defensive line. Let that sink in, Trojan fans. BMW, he was telling Jaden Richardson, what it takes to be a really great wide receiver at USC. I think Coach Mike Williams knows what he's talking about. He had Jaden's attention. The NFL, they sent, I saw scouts there from the Chicago Bears, New England Patriots, LA Chargers. And while the media was allowed inside practice, I noticed those guys spending most of their time hanging out around the offensive line and the defensive line groups. Really impressed with the size that they're looking at. Here's your Makai Lemon daily shoe report. Didn't notice, I'll tell you now. Makai Lemon, he was going with the white shoes look again. Yep. So the first thing I see when they let us into practice, we walk through Goo Gate. You're going to see the special teams group. You're going to see the punt return, and then just a little bit further over is the kick return guys. So Makai Lemon, Quentin Joyner, Woody Marks, Zachariah Branch, Jay Fair, Greedy Vance, and Josiah Zamora. They make up the return group between those two return units. I think, I have to admit, I really think that Greedy Vance's transition from Florida State to USC has been pretty seamless. He looks really comfortable just hanging out with the guys, the way he interacts with the team. It was really cool to see when they were doing that, going through their returns. He was fist bumping everybody. Hey, Coach Jones. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Everybody. He's a really outgoing guy. Good locker room guy. Now, while the bulk of the team was going through their skip and stretch conditioning routine, you know what that's all about. I've shown you before. I've told you about it. I'll show you again on tomorrow's episode of Locked on USC. So while the bulk of the team is over there on the new field, the long snappers, the holders, they are all alone by themselves, hanging out over there on Brian Kennedy Field. And that was before one of the GAs came over and said, hey, you got to leave. Secondary is on their way over. Over on the big field, you've got the quarterbacks. They're throwing the passes to all the pass catchers. They're running routes against air. There's not a lot of talk about. What I will say, some really beautiful dimes thrown on the long fade patterns along the sideline. Everybody's catching the ball, dropping beautiful dimes. Again, there's no defender, so it looks good. I got to watch the defensive line get some work in. There was this one drill, I'll call it like a little mini obstacle course, where they start off in a 3-point stance, hand in the dirt, under the tent, staying low. They explode, they explode out from under the tent, and then Coach Newell will roll this big, huge, heavy medicine ball in front of them that they got to avoid before finishing the drill with a wrap up around one of those tackling dummies. And then I get over there in deep right center field. You've got the offensive line. I saw them doing some bear crawls. It was just part of the conditioning drill. They weren't being punished for anything. What else did I see today? Oh, got to hang out over there in linebacker land again. My favorite part of the amusement park during practice. Lincoln Riley was even involved. He was simulating playing the Mike position during one drill. And Coach Entz, I love watching him develop the linebackers. There was one drill. They were working 2-man groups where they were backpedaling, dropping into coverage, and then they would have to break downhill, catch the interception to finish the drill. That was one of them. Oh, who's hanging out at USC today? Chris Steele and Ajane Harris. and I got them real quick before they dipped over into Allison Felix Stadium. I think they were doing a private workout with a coach who was there. Really hard to believe. Chris Steele, Isaac Taylor-Stewart, both those 5 stars on the same roster at USC. Didn't have better NFL careers. Interesting. At the end of practice, they were pumping in some crowd noise, getting the team ready for Vegas. And you can't see it, but you can hear it. The practice was ending on the team making a field goal. Based on the sound, the reaction, it took 2 kicks to end practice today. I don't know who was doing it, but there you go. So there's your quick updated practice session from today. Let me get this back. There we go. And I'll have another one tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On USC. But I wanted to squeeze in a few minutes of that before we dip on over. I got some more USC disrespect, as you can see on the rundown. We're going to talk about that next. Can someone explain to me, please? I need to know. The 2024 Fred Biletnikoff Award List was released, and not one single player from USC made the cut. Not one. Out of a list of 50. The Biletnikoff Award recognizes the college football season's outstanding FBS receiver, regardless of position, any player, regardless of position, wide receiver, tight end, split end, inside receiver, slot back, or running back who catches a pass is eligible for the award. So again, preseason list, it has 50 names on it. One of them is actually a cornerback, Travis Hunter. That's how they list him. Cornerback, Travis Hunter. Yeah, I know. He's a part-time receiver for Colorado. But no Zachariah Branch. Forget the fact that he was a first-team freshman All-American. No Deuce Robinson. Forget the fact that he was the #1 tight end in the country coming out of 2023. How about Woody Marks? Why isn't he on this list? I mean, he's only the leading pass catcher out of the backfield from Mississippi State in their history. Over 200. But he can't cut the list. The first person on the list is his teammate, wide receiver Kelly Akarari. I've never heard of him, let alone I can't pronounce his last name. Some of these names belong on the list. You got Nick Anderson from Oklahoma. Who else do I see on here that belongs on here? Luther Burden III from Missouri. Who else? C.J. Daniels, LSU. I think he belongs on the list. Obviously, Emeka Ogbukpa, Ohio State. I'm just scrolling through this. I mentioned Travis Hunter, cornerback. Lots of wide receivers, lots of running backs. All of those Oregon wide receivers that transferred in, they're on the list. T-Mac from Arizona. Deserving so. But again, a lot of tight ends, a lot of wide receivers. No one from USC. Lake McCree couldn't make the list. According to the Biletnikoff website, receivers are periodically added to the watch list as their season performances dictate. Actual, not potential, performance is the basis for inclusion on the Biletnikoff Award Watch List. So that's the guise of why nobody on USC made the list. Still doesn't explain Woody Marks on the list, but whatever. Apparently, Zachariah and Deuce and Mackay and Jacoby, not enough production last year as true freshmen. Again, I don't get it. I'll say it again. Half of those guys on the list of the 50, never heard of them before. Jacoby Lane is going to fight somebody to make sure he's on that list sometime during the season. And I'll tell you what, if I'm USC's wide receiver coach, Dennis Simmons, I'm taking a copy of that list and I'm putting it in every single locker in USC's locker room. If you have an opportunity to catch the ball, whether you're a running back, wide receiver, tight end, part-time player on defense, you're getting a copy of this list and saying, are you mad? Are you feeling disrespected? You should. I do. All right. That's it for this episode of Locked on USC. I will be back again tomorrow. I'll have another practice report update. Obviously, I'm going to have a recruiting update. We'll see where Aaron Dunn ends up. Did he pick USC? Did he decide to stay home and play at Utah? Did Oregon come in the last second, drop a bag? All right, everyone. When you're done making this episode of Locked on USC your first listen, make sure you go check out Locked on College Football, Spencer McLaughlin on YouTube, wherever you get your Locked on College podcast. And do not forget, get on over to wearesc.com. So much content, so much information, so much that I can't fit it all into this show. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.